I'd begun Warleggan, and I was quite surprised to find this in the first chapter of Warleggan, and this is my copy. Alright, you can see the words boldly, Poldark, and the little title at the top, Warleggan, because people didn't really like him when the series came out. He was the most unlikable character. Everybody loved Ross and Demelza. They didn't like Warleggan. But Ralph Bates played him excellently, and he's a very hard act to follow. So we're going to begin reading the end of chapter 1 of Warleggan. He left the room, shutting the door after him, and crossed the great empty hall. The wind was rattling a loose window. As he reached the front door, Aunt Agatha came out of the small drawing-room and began tottering across in his direction. He tried to avoid being seen, but although she was nearly stone-deaf, her eyesight was sharp enough. "Why, if he isn't George Warleggan, or I'm a dunce. Don't mumble now, people will mumble. 'Tis years since you put foot inside our place, I'll swear. Getting too grand for us, are ye?" George smiled and bowed over the withered hand. "I salute you, old hag. The worms must be tired of waiting. It's not seemly when people rot while they're still above ground." "Getting too grand for us, I believe," said Aunt Agatha, one trembling claw going to join the other on her stick. "Look at that waistcoat. I remember when you was a boy, George, not hardly bigger than Geoffrey Charles. Quite overawed you were, coming here the first time. Different now." George smiled and nodded. "There should be a law to poison off old women, ma'am, or a pillow pressed over the face would not take long. If you were the last of the Poldarks, I'd do it myself, but never fret. Your great-nephews are digging their own graves. It won't be long." A slow bead of water escaped from Aunt Agatha's eye and slid diagonally down one of the furrows of her cheek. This was no sign of emotion, it just happened from time to time. "You was always Francis's friend, I remember, never Ross's." "What's that you say?" "Nervous you was, that first time, and hardly fledged, and Charles saying, 'What's the boy brought on from school with him now?' Well, times has changed. I mind the years when you couldn't have rid over from Truro in all that philallery without being turned heel over tit by some footpad or needy tinner. Have ye seen Francis?" "I've seen Elizabeth," said George, bowing again. "You remind me of forgotten things, old woman. Die soon, won't you, and be forgotten yourself." "Goodbye," said Aunt Agatha. "Come again, and stop to supper. We're uncommon short of company these days." So that's a taste of exactly what George Warleggan is like.